Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the MN Talk Show. Special guest, longtime friend, and business partner, Nate Thelen.
Welcome to the show, Nate.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Yes, sir. Glad we finally got to have you on. I know you've been asking me every day.
Thanks for taking the time.
It's like every other week, but
Every other day, same difference.
yeah, same
there's
thing.
no
Pretty
problem.
close.
Oh, 100%.
No, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
No, I've been wanting to.
Did you know that me and him have like an hour-long phone call every morning?
Yeah, you told me about that, but
And every afternoon.
I think the
And then
first
every
time,
night.
you're just like an old married couple at this point.
Literally.
Well,
Yeah, no, it's pretty similar.
the first time Nate was talking about you, I was in the room. I think just the one that I showed you earlier, and he's on the phone for like 20 minutes, like walking around the office. I'm
Doing
like,
hot laps.
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, buddy? And he's like, well, I was just talking. I was like, with who? A buyer or a seller or what? And he's like, oh, my buddy Nate Thelen. Who is Nate Thelen? So that leads me to my next question. Who's Nate Thelen? Who are you?
That's a loaded question.
It's a simple question, but it's really deep.
loaded.
Let's start from the beginning. Where you came from, what you did when you were growing up, and what you do now.
Yeah, no. So
What the time frame.
I initially, up until I was about 10, grew up in North Minneapolis, and that was pretty uneventful down there. Honestly, where we were living, it was kind of the one little nice area tucked in. But moved out to Rogers right around 10, 11 years old. Played hockey growing up. I was never any good at it, honestly.
I remember when you came to Rogers, your first ever practice, you had your white helmet,
Yep.
Yeah.
and you came from like Armstrong, wasn't it?
Yeah, I played for Armstrong.
And I remember going up to David Bauer and I go, who's this? Like, why is he on our ice
Gumpy
sheet?
kid.
Yeah, can't skate, can't shoot.
Can't
like,
do nothing.
Why are you on the ice sheet right now,
Yeah.
buddy?
Yeah, no, we moved out to Rogers, and my parents' thought process was just like, nicer neighborhood, we'll scoot out, and then started playing hockey. And actually, John Bauer was my first coach in Rogers.
Did you start when you were 10? 10, 11,
No,
right when
no,
you got
I started when I was, I think first time I skated was when I was 5.
there? Okay.
So, and then actually there's a guy who coached, I think he still coaches down in Wayzata. His name is Derek. He actually taught me how to play hockey and helped me throughout the years. But my first skate, he had one of the walkers for me. And I got on the ice and I fell, over 100 times. And my parents were in the stands. And my mom said that she said to my dad, she goes, he's never going to want to come back. She was like, he's having a horrible time.
Yeah.
And I came running up the stairs after getting my gear off. And I looked at my mom and I go, when's the next one? I just got all fired up for it.
This is what I don't want to do for
Yeah,
you.
Yeah.
it's fun. So, no, I moved out. It was just kind of, new school, new hockey program, just kind of everything a little bit different. And then, played hockey until I stopped just after I turned 19.
You left Rogers early, right? You played
Yep.
varsity your freshman, sophomore year.
Yep.
And then where'd you go after that?
So after that, I was actually intending to go to Omaha in the USHL, and then they basically said, "Hey, we're going to hold off for a year. Go play for Dave Wilkie over at the Omaha AAA program." And I was all set up to go there, and then Wilkie actually took a job coaching the Omaha Lancers. So after that, I was like, I don't know about this. So I found a program out in Colorado, the Colorado Thunderbirds. Really good coaching staff, bunch of great guys out there. Went out there, just showed up for tryouts, just see what it was like, and it was really high level of competition. I had the worst helmet ever made. It was one of the old Bauers back in like 2015, just a box on my head. It was just the worst style anybody could ever have.
So you're just looking like an absolute duster.
I looked horrid.
Did
But
your skill back it up or no?
I played well. I actually played
Good.
well. We had a couple kids on that team who were Denver commits.
Sweet.
Bunch of good players on there. But I actually showed up, held my own, and they were like, "All right, cool." So they offered me a spot, and then they told me the price of AAA hockey, and I was like, "No." It was just
expensive.
astronomical, and I basically said, either help me out here or I'm going back home, and they actually scholarship me in. So that was huge.
Yeah.
And even my parents were like, we'll do it if you want, but it's a lot of money. And I was like, no, I'm not going to make you guys spend that kind of money just to go play hockey.
Right.
So they they scholarshiped me in, played out there for a year.
What was that like? Like, obviously, you guys, like, you didn't just play in Colorado.
Right.
You traveled the country pretty much, didn't you?
Yep. Yeah. We had a couple showcases out in Boston, down to Scottsdale, Dallas, out in New York. We were all over the place. We actually had one right here at the Super Rink. That was the Tier 1 playoffs.
I remember showing up to one game.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. All the boys came out for that
yeah.
one. That was against Dallas. That was a fun one.
Yep.
How good of a feeling is that, knowing that like your hometown buddies are in the stands, like supporting you, and like you can kind of see them as you're warming up and doing laps?
Yeah, no, it was cool. Honestly, at the time being 16, I was really nervous.
Right.
Like, I didn't know how to deal with pressure at all.
For sure.
And all of a sudden the boys show up, and then I'm like, I got to put up 3 and 5. I just got to dominate if I'm not going to get shit for it.
Right.
But no, it was really cool, and a ton of family friends came out, and it was a ball. And we actually, that year is cool because we played Dallas 5 times before that, and we got just throttled every time.
Yeah.
And they were. I mean, they were a good team. They had like Chase Yoder on that team. I think he's with the Coyotes now.
Mm-hmm.
Really good hockey team. But I think they were 15th in the country. We were 10th, and we just got steamrolled every time we rolled into Tier 1, and that was the first time we beat them that year. So, and we hadn't, up until then, we hadn't scored a single shootout goal. I think we went 3 for 3, and I was like,
really?
Yeah, I
Just
was like, oh, we figured it out. So, no, that was really cool. We ended up beating them in a shootout, moving on. Then we ended up winning the Tier 1 playoffs that year. So we got our bid to nationals. So that was, I mean, it's a different world than like high school hockey. Don't get me wrong. I mean, freshman, sophomore year was a ball.
Right. I mean, to play high school hockey in Minnesota as a freshman, that's a pretty big accomplishment.
It was really cool. I think that year there were actually quite a few freshmen that played, like Jack Perbix up in Elk River.
Right.
He played, and there was a lot of good 01 year class guys that year that played up. But I mean, it was also, it was weird. It was really strange because, like, you with that comes a lot of people saying, what the hell's he thinking? What's he doing? He's not going to be able to keep up. And it was, really humbling at the time. And then after I got into it and started playing well, then it was kind of a big FU.
Right.
It was kind of, hey, I belong here, and I can hang with these guys. And we ended up that year we rolled into Brainerd for sections as the 6th seed. And upset them in a packed house. That was a crazy environment. Beer cans flying all over the place for a high school hockey game. It was wild. Then we went up to Moorhead, had a really good chance. I think we hit like 3 or 4 posts and lost by 1.
Yeah.
So
just unlucky bounces.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and they had a really good team that year. They had Ethan Frisch, who I think he's in his last year in North Dakota now. Carter Ranclev had the viral clip where he danced around
I've seen
4
it.
guys.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah, no, he actually, the kid he skated around was actually one of my buddies. Is Weston Andrews, one of the Andrews brothers. They had like 6 kids, and I texted him like 2 days after it happened when we saw it on Sports Center, and I was like, dude,
What happened?
that's
buddy?
a bad look, man. I was like, never turn your feet. So.
Yeah.
Hey, going viral is going viral. It doesn't matter how it happens.
No matter how you're there, you're
No
there.
such thing as bad publicity.
Oh,
No.
absolutely.
No, it was really cool though. And all the guys really helped me through it. It was nice. Like Vinny Billing, he was huge in it, and he just kind of took me under his wing, and nobody really looked at me as a freshman. I mean, they just looked at hey, he can play, he belongs here. So it was really nice not having anybody on the team that was just a dick because I was young.
Right, just shitting on you, putting you down.
You were 4 years younger than some kids on the team too.
Yep.
You're probably what, 14? Some of the kids
I
were
was
probably
14.
18. Yeah.
Yeah, I was 14 at the time. So no, it was big. And then after that year's when I went and played at nationals and got a shot at the Czechoslovakia team, and that was humbling.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good hockey players around the country.
Right.
I mean, we were labeled as the top 160 at the age group, and I made the first 2 cuts. We got down to the top 40, and that's where kids showed up. Their skill just showed up. I mean, you got guys like at the time Aaron Huglin. He made that team. He was an absolute animal out of Roseau. Marcus Gretz. He got drafted in the 3rd round by the Red Wings. I mean, there's just
Just some
top
studs
end
out
talent.
there. Yeah.
And there was, it was really cool because there was a lot of college coaches helping coach that.
Right.
So, you know, as much as it was you're trying to make the Czechoslovakia team, you're also trying to get recruited.
Right.
So like my coach was the head coach of UMass Amherst. So great guy. And then a lot of the other coaches were all Division I coaches, pro coaches, and I mean there were scouts lined in the building. It was a really cool atmosphere out in Buffalo, but it's difficult for a 14, 15-year-old kid to go in that. It's, I mean, you had your top end kids who knew they were going to make it, and they pretty much had an automatic bid. But I mean, everybody's still playing their ass off.
Right. But to be even like compared or like in the talks of that conversation has to be confidence boosting tremendously, right?
Yeah, for sure. It was super cool.
Yeah.
You know, at the same time though, I knew that, you know, showing up wasn't enough. I was
Right.
going to have to go play my ass off.
For sure.
So, and the cool part about that was, you know, we played 4 games and I felt like I played my best 4 games and I still didn't make it.
Right.
So I was like, you know, these kids are just flat out great hockey players.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was like, you know, I can hang with them, but I mean, some of these kids were just doing crazy stuff. You
Right.
saw Aaron Hugelin the next year go on to the Hlinka Gretzky Cup team and do the first lacrosse goal.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, that's just the caliber of kids that I was going up against.
Right.
And at the time, like we were all kids.
Yeah. And you
So-
can't be upset with yourself about that
No.
either. Like you said, you play your top 4 games probably of your life,
Yeah.
and that's what happens. I mean,
You're going up against NHL prospects. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah a lot of those kids ended
Yeah.
up getting drafted
Yeah.
first
So-
3 rounds.
Yeah.
You know, it was really cool though. Really great experience. And I actually got to room with one of my buddies from Chaska,
Oh, cool.
Shane Lavelle. So and he's a hell of a hockey player too. I think he's at Wisconsin now. But no, it was really cool. It was just they treated you like pro players. So it was, you know, they cooked for you, they housed you. But it was you were up at 4:35 in the morning. You're out doing dry land training. Then you had your morning skate. And afterwards, I actually the funniest part about the whole trip, our third morning skate, they gave us a gitch loop. And for anybody that doesn't know what a gitch loop is, for your jock strap, socks, all that fun stuff to be washed. So everybody had their own gitch loop, and you just throw your stuff on it. They'll come pick it up, and then it'll be back in your stall when you come back. So after the morning skate, I put everything in my gitch loop. Well, I forgot to take my nut cup out. Well, they were washing 160 player stuff, so they had industrial dryers. These things were moving at like 400 degrees. It melted.
Did you go to put it on the next day and like?
They put it back on my loop, right?
Yeah.
And I get to my stall and I like grab it to put it on, and I was like, "What the heck is this?"
Something,
This doesn't
something
feel-
right.
It was just a ball of plastic. It was just. I was like, "Oh no!" So I skated without one,
Oh,
and I just kind of every time I went to block a shot, I just kind of covered up a little bit.
yeah,
I was like,
you're
"Oh
like,
god."
don't take one there.
you look like an
Please.
exorcist to those
Yeah.
coaches.
Oh yeah. I mean, I ate a lot of pucks, but
Yeah.
a lot of them hit my hand right there.
Oh, to save the jewels.
Yeah.
Man.
So
proud.
and then I went to buy a new one. They were out of them at the pro shop. And we were in Buffalo, New York. We're 14. We can't drive anywhere.
Right.
My mom was
Uber
staying in-
wasn't a thing.
No, my mom was staying in New York City with the car. So I played the rest of that thing with no nut cup.
Wow.
It was bad.
Props to you, man. My God, that takes some
It
nuts.
was really bad.
Literally.
Yeah. I think the next game I had like 8 block shots too, and I was like, okay. Every time I was just closing my eyes,
Just
waiting for it to
please,
smoke
Oh
me.
my God.
I was like, get the ambulance ready.
That's funny. So obviously, 2 years at high school, Colorado.
Yeah.
After that, what happened?
Yeah. Then I ended up. So I went to a couple different main camps for the NOL and USHL. The deal with the Lancers kind of fell through. They still own my rights, but they basically said, you know, hey, we just want to watch you some more and just wait until you're ready. So I actually, at the time, then I didn't know where to go. So I hired an advisor. And he said, hey, I got a guy, been longtime friends with him. He coaches a program out in Michigan. And so I went out there to play a tournament, played horrendous, absolutely awful. And this guy, his name is Brian Burke. I think he still does some scouting for Mercyhurst. Really well connected. Used to coach there, and now he owns Victory Honda out near Detroit. And And after the 3 or 4 games, he goes, "It's a good thing I watched your tape because you were awful." And I was like, I know. I went like -5. It was just
In
horrible.
4 games?
Yeah. Against bad teams. I was terrible.
Ouch.
I was god awful. So, but he was like, I've seen you play. I've seen you play at some showcases. I know that's not anywhere near your best. You got a spot if you want it. So I ended up, I said, I'll come out, but going to a couple main camps. If I make one of those in a good spot, I'm going to go. He said, okay, that's perfectly fine. So I ended up at, I went to the Wilderness main camp. Dave Boyd's his coach up there, great guy. And he just told me, he was like, hey, next year, yeah, but this year you're probably going to be a 7th D man. Not going to play much. He was like, for your development, I would go play AAA.
Just don't have a spot for you.
Yeah. And at that time they had a lot of really good players, a lot of 20 and 21-year-olds that ended up going to play Division 1. Mm-hmm. So he was like, just fact of the matter is you're not going to make it. And you're not going to play a lot. So he said you'll be rostered, but you're going to be healthy scratched a lot. So I ended up going to the Kenai main camp right here in Blaine, and didn't know anybody, didn't know the coaches, nothing. I ended up playing really well, made it to the final game, did something I never do, and I scored 3 goals. It was really weird. I never scored goals, and they brought me in, and they thought I was 19 years old. And they said, hey, you can be our 5th or 6th D-man. I was like, well, I'm going to play AAA. And they're like, how old are you? And I was like, I just turned 17. And I was like, I mean, at the time I was really taking hockey seriously, and I was like 210 pounds at like 6% body fat. Jesus. And they were like, you're huge. Yeah. I was like, I don't know. I've been 6 foot since I was in 6th grade. Yeah. Like, I haven't grown.
Yeah. To have those genes, man.
Yeah, so talked to them, and they were like, it's a different world. It's going to be more physical, going to be faster, stronger, better hockey. And so I ended up deciding to go to Victory Honda, go play another year at AAA. Great program out there. Had a lot of really good teammates. Zach Augie plays at Lindenwood now. Tim Washy's at Western Michigan. And we were kind of a middle of the road team. I mean, we weren't bad, don't get me wrong, but we weren't top tier by any means. Mm-hmm. We were bouncing from like 15th to 20th in the country all year.
Just average.
Yeah, mm-hmm. It was. I mean, now if you look at the grand scheme of things, there's 350 teams in those rankings, right. So you could classify us as a top end team, but right. We didn't. If you're not top 10, you're not really considered.
You're not even
a top end team.
Yeah.
So we had an okay year. Some ups and downs. That year was really fun because we got to go on like Canadian tours and whatnot.
That's sweet.
Had showcases out in Boston again, down in Dallas, Scottsdale. But that was really cool because we were closer to Shattuck here in Minnesota, so we got to play them a lot. And there's also a lot of good hockey programs out in Michigan. You got Little Caesars, Bell Tire, Honey Baked. I mean, just a lot of good hockey players out there.
All of those Michigan teams are unreal.
Yeah, they're all really good. So we played them a lot. That was good for us because we had a lot of kids on that team that hadn't figured out their full potential yet. And like one of our goalies, Aiden McCarthy, he turned into an absolute animal just from getting shelled every game. So and we got better as we went on. But coolest thing about that was going out to Shattuck, playing them in Faribault a lot, and we rolled in and they had like what was his name? Jackson Lacombe on the Ducks now.
Okay, yeah.
He was on that team. Hell of a player. But we got to go out there. Everybody pretty much wrote us off. All the scouts were in the building for Shattuck, and we ended up beating them like 4-1 or something. And just before that, I had signed my tender with Kenai to go there for the following year. And the Austin Bruins were in the building, and they had just hired a guy who coached me when I was younger. And he noticed me, and he came up to me and he goes, hey, have you tendered with anybody? And I was like, yeah. I was the first tender of the year. I just signed with Kenai. And he was like, shit. And I was like, that's a tire pump right there. Thank you very much. So, no, it was really cool out there. Really good atmosphere. I had a great billet dad out there. My teammate who lived with me, he ended up shipping off to LA to go play for the Junior Kings. So it's just kind of me, 2 dogs, and Tom, my billet dad. Super cool guy. Former Detroit cop. He has some freaking stories.
That's how you met your girlfriend, didn't you?
I'm sorry, but the way you said 2 dogs and Tom, like
Tommy, buddy.
poor Tom. Sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, I met her out there. 0 intention of dating anybody.
Good old Elena.
Well, like a month and a half in, I was like, shit. Like, here we go. So it was actually funny how we met, because my roommate at the time, the one that ended up in L.A., that was Jack Burnell. It was Halloween night. I'm in my fucking underwear watching Netflix in my bed. We shared a room, and I got my headphones in. And he leans over.
Nerd.
He goes, yeah. it was like 8:30 at night, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere. And he leans over and he's like, Nate. I was like, you don't gotta whisper. It's like 8:30, man. And he was like, hey, there's 2 girls that want to hang out. I was like, nope.
I'm in bed, man.
I'm hanging out
Cozy.
right here, dude. And he was like, come on. And I was like, not a chance. Then he like paused and he goes, I'll buy a 30 rack about it if you go. And I was like, okay. And I just threw on like joggers and a baggy sweatshirt, threw my hood up. I was like, I'll drive. We pulled up to a Meijer and bought a 30 rack. And then they said, hey, just meet us at this park and ride. So we pulled up and we parked, shut the car off. And he's like, well, might as well get started. So just started cracking beers. And we're like 5 in and they pull up. And we're like, it's got to be them. Only headlights here. So we get out and there's just beer cans just pour out the side.
Oh, my
I was like, oh, no.
That's a bad first
Yeah.
look.
And like, here's Jack just like trying to corral him, picking him up. And I got like 5 or 6 and we're walking back to their car. And I hear Elena go, oh, God. And I was like, blew this one. So,
You got a 30 rack out of it.
so we hop in the back seat. And actually, Elena and her friend Emma, they had us mixed up. They thought I was Jack and Jack was me. So we started driving back, get back to Elena's parents' house, and go downstairs to hang out, watch a movie. And the first thing we pull up, and it's a crib. And I was like, whoa. It's like, never seen this kind of money. Like, it's wild. They had like a big old wraparound driveway and everything.
This is some drug dealer money.
I was like, whoa, it's crazy. So, but we go downstairs, and we're hanging out. And Elena sits next to Jack, and Emma sits next to me. And Jack, actually, at the time, he wanted to buy like 6 chameleons. Weirdest thing ever. Just wanted.
The animal?
Yeah. Wanted a bunch of chameleons. So
Comedian.
What?
they got them at like Petco. So we were at Petco like 5 days. Just looking at chameleons. He's like, I don't know if I want that one. Like, he's an expert. And I'm like, just buy one, man.
Hold on. How did this go from...
It ties in. Sorry. Just bear with me. But so Jack was like, I look over across the room and his phone's lit up and he's scrolling through chameleons. and his last name was Burnell, so we used to call him Bernie. And I go, Bernie, are you looking at chameleons right now? And Elena and Emma kind of paused and like looked at each other, and Emma leans over to me and she goes, what's your name? And I was like, Nate. She was like, oh shit. So they switched spots.
No way.
And I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
You're like, I'm Nate.
Yeah, Jack's still in the corner scrolling through chameleons. I was like, this is the dumbest.
Nice to meet you. I'm Nate.
Yeah, dumbest thing ever. So Jack was trying to he was trying to wheel Emma and hang out with her, and I was just kind of there supporting the boys. And so we watch a movie, and Jack and Emma are doing their own thing or whatever, and me and Elena are actually watching the movie. I'm like, I might as well watch it while I'm here.
You had nothing better to do.
Yeah, I was like, I guess. And like me and Elena just kind of chatted a little bit.
What'd you watch?
Some horror movie. It was dumb. I don't even remember. It was some really.
It was entertaining at the point.
At the time, yeah, I had nothing to do with it. I was like, this is great. I was like 6 or 7 beers deep, and like 4 more sitting on top of the couch. I was like, I'm kind of buzzed up. This is a great movie. I was looking back, dumbest movie I've ever watched. But so like 3-4 hours go by, we get up to leave. They drive us back to our car, and we start driving home, and all of a sudden Jack gets a text from Emma that says, hey, what's Nate's snap for Elena? we both looked at each other, and I was like, she was way out of my league, like not even anywhere near. I mean, I was not the best looking fella on planet Earth. I'm well aware. It was humbling. But so he got that snap, sent it over, and then she added me. And Jack loved the band Queen. So he just plugs. I had a 2010 Jeep Liberty. Didn't have Bluetooth, so he plugs in the aux with the dongle attachment on it.
The dongle.
Yeah, that's what they're called, the little white.
Yeah.
Is it really?
The dongles.
Oh my
they're
God,
called
I didn't
dongles,
know
yeah.
that.
So he plugs it in and he plays. He just jacks up Queen, and he actually blew out my speakers.
What a
Yeah.
night.
Oh, so we're
Wow.
ripping back, and looking back, I was like, I should not have been driving. I was like 17, just ripped, and I was like, uh-oh. So got back, we're all fired up, and like 2 weeks later, we hung out a few times, and I asked her out. She said yes. Like 3 hours later, I get home, and she broke up with me.
What?
Yeah, like just sent me a text. She's like, I don't know. And I was like, all right, well, I'll just
See ya.
let's go F myself. I guess.
That was
I just found that button before this podcast. I was waiting for the moment to click it.
I give you props. I didn't know you would. I didn't think you were gonna be able to find it.
I thought you were
that
gonna hit the wrong one. I thought it was gonna like clap or
Tony
something.
starts popping. So, anyways, you're single.
Yeah, so anyways, now I'm newly single.
That might
back
be
on
the
the prowl.
That's like a middle school relationship right there.
Oh yeah, no.
And you're what,
no,
17, 18?
I was like 17, I think.
Yeah.
Want to go out with me? Yeah. Two classes later.
Never mind.
Actually, we're done.
Like that was a prank. So,
Gotcha.
no, so then like 2 weeks go by, and then she actually asked me out, and I was like, about damn time. Jesus Christ, woman.
I've been giving you my all.
Yeah.
But before all of this, she's way out of your league. So
Oh,
like,
nowhere near.
for her to even give you a shot in the first place
I was
is
so fired up. And I like in the locker room the next day, like Bernie's telling all the boys about it, and they're like, Thielen's got a chick. I'm like, let's go! Like, all fired up. I'm buzzing around on the ice.
and then the next day, see you, kid.
I'm like just depressed. I'm playing the worst hockey of my life now. Like it felt like juniors because it's just like hockey and a girl. That's it. That's all I was doing. I mean, I was doing online school, but that didn't really count. Graduated from Connections Academy.
I don't even know
They gave me exactly. They gave me a diploma. They mailed it, and then Rogers High School sent me a letter and said, if you want to walk, you can. And I was like,
that. Yeah?
no, I ended up not because I was like, I just went to online school for 2 years, and I know like 4 people from Rogers now. Like I literally have talked to like 4 people in the last 2 years.
That's hilarious.
Like people would see me in the summertime, and they'd be like, oh, I didn't know where you went. And I'm like, I was
Just
like
hanging
700
around.
miles away.
Yeah, I was,
Me? Just hanging around.
So talking about like after hockey and everything, what do you do now after you like you said you did your online school? Where are you at now in life? You're what, 24, 23?
22.
he's down in the dumps.
Yeah, no, my beard doesn't help me. It's the worst beard anybody's ever sported. So I look like 25 with no life. It's terrible.
I mean, you're not 25, but you don't have much of a life yet either. So.
No,
Jesus. We gotta take you outside or
I
what?
don't think any 3 of us do.
No,
Yeah, I
there's a
mean,
reason why us three are in a room together
We're sitting here. It's 6:30 at night.
On a Monday.
on Monday.
Like just chatting up a storm.
Yeah.
We have a couple questions for you, a couple jokes. Nate thought it would be funny to bring up a couple jokes for the podcast.
Here we go.
What do you
Okay.
got?
You ready for it?
You remember these off the top of your head?
I do.
Wow.
I only
He's been practicing. He didn't sleep last night.
no.
Oh, he slept.
What gets wet when you dry?
Towel. That was easy.
Told you that was easy.
That was super easy.
Okay. An elephant sits on a fence. What time is it?
Sorry.
I have a good one to rebuttal with after this. I don't know.
You gotta guess.
I gotta guess.
You gotta
What
guess.
time is it?
An elephant sits on the fence. What time is it?
I don't know. Noon?
Time to fix the fence.
Oh my god! See, that one's
You got
funny.
any
That
more?
one's good.
That one's good.
You got
That's
one
a
more,
good
don't
one.
you?
No, I don't. I
Oh,
forgot.
okay.
I forgot
Okay.
the other one.
Oh,
All
that
right,
one's
I'm
this
ready
one.
for yours. So this
What's
is
this
good.
one?
Dad joke hour.
I think you might. I might have told you this one.
Probably.
This one's more
Okay.
for you.
So if you know it, don't say it.
Yeah.
Terrible memory. I won't know it.
How
You
come?
just remembered those.
I read them 5 minutes ago. Right?
35 minutes ago.
Yeah. How come you never see elephants hiding behind trees?
Because they're too thick.
Because they're so good at hiding.
What?
What?
My buddy's dad just delivers these every time he sees me. It's Noah's dad. Oh, dude, he's got great ones. He's like, "What animal do you never play leapfrog with?"
A frog?
A unicorn. He just delivers these left and right. Every time he's got a new one. I showed up to help them with their boiler, and boy, he fed. I was there for like 6 hours, so I heard like 45 of them.
Oh my god.
It's just off the cuff too. He didn't write none of these down. It's just 50 years of just thinking. Just 25 years of being a dad and 50 years of thinking.
He's like, I can't wait to tell these jokes when I'm 50.
Now his kids are older, so he's like, you need to have grandkids. So
Right.
Just keep firing them
Just-
off. Because he's like, I can't come up with any new ones anymore.
Well,
They're
that's
all
like my grandpa too. He just kind of floats, like he doesn't just float around. That's not what my
just
grandpa
floats
does.
around.
Like,
That's a crude way of putting it.
but
Hanging around.
Just hanging around.
But no, he just like walks around and he's always got these like witty, funny jokes. Like some of them are like the elephant one, like what was it? How do elephants hide?
Why do you never see elephants hiding behind trees?
Because they're so good at hiding. Like just stupid, but like,
Those are the funniest though.
right?
I think.
Yeah, and he just says them, and he's got a new one every single time, and it's one of the things I look forward to most every time I see him. It's hilarious.
Oh,
That's unreal.
Yeah.
So, modern plumbing.
Yep.
That's what you do now. Well, it's not what you do. It's who you work for.
Yep.
Obviously, what you do is kind of in the name.
Mm-hmm.
Give us a little day to day what you do. What are your days kind of look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of go back to when I started. I actually once I stopped playing hockey, my parents' plumber came over to give an estimate, and he jokingly said, "Do you want a job?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm broke."
You took it serious.
I was like, "Yeah," I thought it was dead serious, and I was like, "Yeah, when do I start?" And he was like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Sweet, my apprentice just quit, so I need a guy." I was like, "Perfect." So I started working for him, but that was going on 3.5 years ago now. Yeah, I mean, as far as day to day goes, we mainly do residential service. We do a little bit of commercial, a little bit of new con. Nothing too crazy, but day to day is pretty much just hop in the van in the morning, check my schedule, give the first homeowner a call, and off we go. And it's kind of different depending on the day, because some days you'll be going to a remodel that you're at for 10, 12 hours. Some days you're done at 2 o'clock because you did estimates. It varies. It's a nice change of pace though, versus doing like strictly new construction or strictly commercial, where it's same job site, same thing every day for a year to 2 years. That just gets boring. But so we do a lot of remodel, service, and I do a lot of water conditioning, which is ironic because I failed chemistry in high school. Now I do it for work.
And that teacher said you never make it in life.
Yeah, she was like, "You're going nowhere."
So they were right when you said you're going to use this in the future.
About that, yeah. I still haven't figured out how to use the Pythagorean theorem though. So I'm working on that one.
Obviously, so like you go into homeowners' homes.
Yep.
Any wild stories while you're there? Anybody like yelling at their husband? Like there's got to be a couple.
Well, just yesterday, me and one of my coworkers, Jared, we were doing a bathroom remodel in someone's basement right in Big Lake, and they had like 3 or 4 dogs, and we're downstairs working, just doing our thing. All of a sudden, I hear something just crash. I was like, "Uh-oh," and it sounded like they had a bunch of doggy gates. It sounded like they had knocked one of the doggy gates over and hit something in the process. And I like paused and I like looked up, like I could see anything. I was like, "Oh," I just looked at the floor, but all of a sudden, all 4 dogs just start screaming through the house. and the customer got home. I was walking in the garage at the time. They come screaming by, and just a size 12 to their ribs, just boom. And me and Jared are just like, what's going on? and it's just yelling and screaming ensued. Then he comes walking down the stairs. He's like, how's it going, guys? I'm like, are we not going to talk about that?
Did you?
God, no. I didn't want to. He was a big boy. I was like, No. I was like, you're like twice the size of me, man.
God.
No, the craziest, weirdest story I got is a couple years ago. We were going to bid out. I want to say it was a faucet replacement, something simple, and we walk into the bathroom and check it out, and the homeowner, this gal, was there with us, and we're looking at everything, and she goes, "Oh, I got another question for you." We're like, "Yeah, what's up?" She goes, she had a tiled-in soap shelf in her shower. She goes, "It fell off." I'm like, how the hell does that fall off your fucking shelf? I was like, what the heck? I was like, okay, I'll take a peek at it. Open the shower door. She's right here next to me. And there's just, I'm not shitting you, a 14-inch suction cup dildo on the wall. She had no shame, this lady, and she just was like, she just pointed at this soap shelf. She's like, yeah, it just fell off the wall. And I'm like,
What is that?
do you not see that in front of us right now? And so I figured out how the soap shelf was falling off the wall. She was putting her foot up there. Dead serious. I'm not kidding you. I put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, oh my God. And I just turned around. I was like, you're going to have to call a tile guy. I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's
And I left. I was like, I'll be back a different day for the faucet.
I don't know. Could you imagine if you were like an apprentice, like first day on the job, and this lady's like,
Oh.
"Come and look at this." Like,
I got something in my shower.
Oh.
I'd be like, yeah.
you got a lot in your shower.
Ma'am, you have other issues in your shower.
That's funny.
So I got one more question for you. We'll kind of wrap everything up here. Where do you kind of see like your life? Obviously, you got a girlfriend, a dog, a house now. Like, where do you kind of see your life in the next 5-10 years?
Hopefully diving into real estate, honestly. Biggest thing first is getting into starting a plumbing company, plumbing, heating, and whatnot. But I mean, honestly, right now, got a really good thing going at Modern Plumbing. Vince is the owner. He's a great guy. He's been a friend of mine for 3+ years now. Super good guy. But I mean, as far as the future goes, we're diving into buying rental properties, starting companies. Another thing I want to do eventually is start some sort of management company to handle properties. Just kind of diversify everything.
Have a big
probably good
portfolio of everything.
Yeah. Just kind of bulletproof myself financially. But I mean, we're looking at building a house here in a few years, buying land. Yeah, just kind of keep going. you
Yeah.
know?
Love that. Just live day by day, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's a day by day thing too. Because
sure.
if we try to look at everything we want to do, oh my God, I'd go
It's a
nuts.
lot, yeah.
I'd go absolutely nuts.
Pages on pages on pages.
Yeah, and it drives my girlfriend nuts sometimes because Elena's she's a big planner.
Mm-hmm.
She likes to plan out every single thing that's going to happen. And we're just out in Montana, and on the way back, she got pulled over, got a ticket, and she goes, "Well, when should I? It was her first ticket,
Mm-hmm.
and she thought it would register right away." And so she went online. She's like, "Well, it's not in there." I was like, "Yeah, it usually takes a few days. I've gotten a few, so I know."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I actually got pulled over last night.
Oh, no.
Super nice guy.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Lucky.
And I go, we'll figure it out. And she just turns to me and she goes, "I hate when you say that so much." And I was like, "You'll figure it out."
We'll figure it out.
Figure it out. We'll figure it out.
So I mean, I try to take everything just one step at a time. She's adjusting. She's gotten a hell of a lot better at it though.
Yeah.
So
Good.
and I need her to
Yeah.
plan stuff for me.
Right.
She tells me where to be and when, and I'm like, sounds good.
That's what a team's for.
I got one more for you, and then we'll kind of end it here, and we're kind of running out of time. We always ask this question to everybody: what is the best advice you would give somebody that's either in hockey right now? Obviously, since you played, you're coaching a little bit now, getting into plumbing. What do you think, looking back at your life, what helped you that you would tell somebody now?
I would say, especially if you're a kid, like, you know, high school age or young high school, late middle school age, is learn people skills and learn how to work. Because I think hockey taught me a lot of what I am today. As far as just, I never had any skills, so I had to work, and I had to, you know, beat everybody out just by working harder. And I think the same applies to my life now. And I was lucky enough at a young age to learn people skills working with my dad. And I think that's helped me a ton, you know, growing up. And especially in the service industry where I'm at now, that's just a massive thing. But biggest thing is just learn to work. And if something doesn't go right, that's fine. Figure it out. Just keep going, find a new way. You know, it's just learn perseverance, hard work, and people skills. And you can, in reality, I mean, do really whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
You can
Figure
go
it
in
out.
different ways. We'll figure it out. So
Absolutely. I love it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
yeah,
We appreciate
thanks for
your
having
time.
me, boys.
Appreciate
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, if you guys want to see a part 2 with Nate Thelen, feel free to comment down below, and we'll get that on the books. But that being said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.